Hello there, this is Dave from Cranky Old Disabled Vet. Today I'd like to talk about the food you carry in your bug out bag. Now, in my other video with the fire kit, I showed you that I had these first aid kit pouches that I got from Walgreens. Well, I bought a bunch of them because they had them on sale here, really cheap. So what I did is I took 2 of these and I realized that I could put most of my food and my condiments. That's very important for people that, you know, we kind of have a little belly here. We like food. I like food. And yeah, I want to have some flavor with my food. It's very important to me, and it's probably most important to a lot of people. Now, in my condiment side, not my food side, I have one for food, I have one for condiments. In my condiments, I drink coffee. So I have a lot of sugar and sweetener, artificial sweetener, any kind of sweetener that you can get your hands on that will take up less room than regular sugar is always good, because I know I'm going to need a lot. I have a lot of sugar in my coffee. Plus, of course, got to have my individual. Yeah, it is instant coffee. I know what you mean. And instant coffee is pretty horrible, and most of what you can get. But I did manage to find a decent way of getting my coffee. Now, if you can have better coffee made for you, I would suggest doing it, or maybe even having a container that'll have your really fancy coffee. But the coffee you don't have to brew means you don't have to have an extra container. You don't have to everything. So instant coffee, gotta have it from a caffeine. Then of course, condiments for my food. I have ketchup. I got hot sauce. Basically, if you go to a fast food joint, grab what you can. You know, they last for a little while. You use it and then get some more. And always have a nice little package of condiment pieces right there in your pack. I also have pepper and salt. Pepper and salt, especially salt. Salt can become a very valuable item when things are going bad. You have to have salt to survive. That's just it. And every time we sweat out salt. So you need to replace the salt. Have you ever seen like a documentary that shows the elephants going down and digging up holes in the ground, trying to get all those minerals of salt and everything? It's important for humans to have salt. So make sure you have a supply of salt in your bug out bag, in your go bag, in your house. Just make sure you have salt. It's always important to have salt around. Now, as far as utensils, along with my condiments, I keep these little plastic forks that I get from the times we go and get some fast food or whatever. I pick the plastic forks. But I did break down recently and went ahead and bought one of these 3-piece silverware things. They're plastic. They got a fork, knife, and spoon. They're easily washable. It was only $1 for one of these. You can get the metal ones. If you can get the one that's kind of like a knife spork, 2 pieces in one, that would save space. If you got the space, go ahead and use it. You know, sometimes you need a little bit more camping gear in your bug out bag because, well, we're used to this kind of stuff when we're eating and that, and it's so much easier than having to use your fingers. But if you can get a metal one, I would recommend the metal one and not the plastic one, but this is really cheap plastic. Now on this side of my other bag, I have my major foods. Now as far as I'm concerned, I'm not going fancy, I'm not going expensive. I have very little money. And I think the most important thing when it comes to food is meat, protein. So I got a bunch of cans of these armored potted meats. I can get 4, 5, maybe 6 of these little armored meat cans in here. They last a long time. You can have them in storage for a while, and the protein does really good. I also have protein bars. I went out and bought some Clip Bar, which is, if you do any sports or anything, Clip Bars are like top of the line. I just decided to spend a little bit on them, but mostly I get the little granola bars, Nature Valley, uh, generic chewy protein. You know, you want to have the protein. It's all about giving that excess protein. I have thought about getting one of those protein / calorie chunks of food that's like really disgusting, but it gives you all the nutrients you need. It's almost like, you know, the Matrix, you know, when he's like, hey, yeah, it's a single cell protein. It may taste like porridge, but it gives you everything you need. It tastes horrible, but there you go. So when you're dealing with food, try not to get so fancy. You know, it might be nice to have all those fancy foods and all these hot meals and everything, but I would suggest that you have a canteen, you have a canteen cup, and in that canteen cup or in a steel cup, you can go ahead and heat yourself up water. Make yourself your coffee. Make cocoa. Get some soup if you can. Porridge is a really good thing to have. Oats. Put oats in here. You know, you got the oat bars. I mean, it's basically what it is bars with honey and stuff stuck together. But maybe you want to have, you know, some nice hot meal. Get something hot into you, which can be very important when you're out there in the cold or even in the hot. You want some warmth, some feeling good. And that's really what, you know, you have to decide on. Do you want to go bare minimum, or do you want to have some good food? Well, there's a lot of good freeze-dried food if you want to go in that direction, but you're going to have a lot of water. If you don't have the water, then I suggest to go with the potted cans, the granola bars. You don't need any water for that. Of course, you do need to drink some water. Make sure you have your supply of water, but it doesn't take any excess water. Plus, you can use what's left over in your water ration to go ahead and make your coffee. Or if you have to, because you've gotten water from a stream or whatever, and you know you got to use those iodine tablets, or you got to use one of the filters that doesn't have the flavor barrier, the carbon, because some of the new ones do that. Well, I have Jolly Ranchers, which is kind of like a flavoring for your water. I like the taste of Jolly Rancher. I'm a big candy person. So that's what it is for me. So as far as my food, it's really basic, but I gotta have my condiments. I gotta have my coffee, because if I don't have my caffeine, I'll probably have a serious aneurysm in my brain. So if you're like me, get your coffee, get your condiments, get your food. Try to keep it as low as you can, as simple as you can. And if you can't afford it, that's what I'm saying, if you can afford it, I would suggest getting some MREs, meals ready to eat. The ones that are designed after the military MREs, or if you can get lucky, get the military MREs, but make sure you don't go for the surplus. Because remember, by the time it gets to you, it's probably only a year or less out from its not very good date anymore. You want to get the MREs when they're three years out. You can get that from the companies who make the MREs. They actually sell a civilian version, or you can get the Easy Pack. I've heard there's so many different food places for dealing with, you know, emergency rations. So just think about what is your budget and what you can do, and then do whatever you want.